Says we're live. Perfect. Glad to hear it. Hello, everybody. For everyone who's joined, I'm Burt Middleton, the Gout Killer. And thank you so much for being on this Google Hangout. I've decided to do this to create a resource for people to really kind of find out more about what's going on with gout, figure out why they're getting gout, figure out what to do about getting gout, explore the alternatives to the whole Western medical model of what to do about gout. And just for the record, I don't particularly completely discount Western medicine. It is a resource that we need to take advantage of if things have gotten so far out of control. But there is so much more that we can do to take care of our health. And when our health is what it needs to be, then gout ceases to be a problem. So that's where I'm at. That's where I've been at for the last 6 years. I got gout 18 years ago. And for the last 6 years, I've been gout free, getting better and better at taking care of my health and making sure that it stays away. So as I promoted all over the place for the last several days, this Google Hangout is going to be all about what really causes gout. And the reason why I chose that topic is because, of course, I've gotten that question many, many times, and there is so much confusion about it. Most of the time, if I were to ask you, or if anyone says, what causes gout? And the typical answer is uric acid. And so we make uric acid the bad guy. And uric acid is so funny to me because as I've experienced gout, and I've experienced it really badly. I've lived through hundreds of gout attacks. I've had surgeries for tophi on my fingers and on my toes, and I've been through the ringer with gout. But as I did thousands and thousands of hours worth of research and then studied to become a certified nutritionist, I've come to understand, and you can look this up too, please feel free to go do a Google search on this, but the uric acid that is produced in our bodies is actually a very important and useful antioxidant. So a lot of times people are very shocked by that. It's like uric acid has always been the bad guy. You know, it's been like, oh my God, uric acid, that's what's causing all this pain in my big toe or my wrist or my ankle or my knee or wherever. And the fact of the matter is that uric acid is something that our body produces and it uses. It's a very useful antioxidant that is in our blood and has a lot to do with helping to manage the free radical activity and free radical damage that goes on throughout our whole cardiovascular system. So it's not the bad guy that we make it out to be. Most of the time, everybody talks about what causes gout, and they talk about, well, I ate too much red meat, or I eat too much red meat and I drink too much, or I ate too much shellfish or asparagus or mushrooms or cauliflower, or, there's a million other things. You can go on the internet, and I'm sure you have, and for every food someone says, eat this so you don't get gout, there's somebody else that says, if you eat that, you will get gout. So it really goes in such a confusing direction about the whole, does food cause gout? And food is certainly a contributing factor. But where I want to just open up more of the conversation, and actually I wanted to apologize about that because there is some kind of a way here on Google Hangouts that you can type in a question to me and then I can answer it, but this go round I still haven't figured that out, so I'm sorry. You can go to thegoutkiller.com and you can use the contact form there and email me, and I'm sure and I will answer you, but it'll probably be in an email, and or maybe on the next hangout, which will be in 2 weeks, I can answer that. But basically, what it comes down to when we all experience gout, it's kind of a progression of a couple of things. And first of all, there is a big component about how well our digestive system is working. And our digestive system, it's a north to south process. We have to chew our food really well and mix it with the salivary amylase really well so the carbohydrates start to break down. Then we need to have good hydrochloric acid expression in our stomach so that all of those foods are being chemically broken down properly, and then they make their way into the small intestine, where then they are absorbed and assimilated. And that's kind of the important spot that I want to talk about right now, because if we don't chew well and digest our food and our stomach acid, the hydrochloric acid expression is not that good, then the foods don't get broken down into their separate constituent nutritional pieces and parts, and not only broken down into the separate ones, but also into the right size, into the right sizes. And so once they get into the small intestine, where the little finger-like villi then absorb these nutrients in their smallest microscopic forms into the blood and into the lymph, that is where the beginning of a lot of problems happen. Now, when we think about breaking our foods down, and if our foods are not broken down properly, in the case of gout, what is really a problem is the proteins, because proteins are typically more concentrated with the purines. And it's the purines that, when they are broken down and metabolized, create uric acid. Oftentimes it's said uric acid is a byproduct of the breakdown of purines. And I'm actually starting to sort of rethink that, because it really is not such a byproduct as much as it is something that we actually still use. So that's the first part. If we're not digesting well, especially breaking down those proteins and the purines, so turning into the uric acid, then that's the start of the uric acid, the excessive uric acid problem. Now, once that has gone in that direction, and actually let me back up just a moment, because so much of what can happen in terms of us having poor digestion is that we have been consuming processed, denatured, nutrient deficient foods for so long that our stomach and our stomach lining and the parietal cells, which make hydrochloric acid, have all become fatigued, weaker. They haven't been getting the nutrients they need to do their jobs. It's often said by Bruce Lipton that our bodies are a community of trillions of cells, and they all talk to each other and they all work together. And when they don't have good food, then the whole organism gets weaker, from the cells to the tissues to the organs to the systems to us. So that's the start of where the uric acid, the excessive uric acid problem comes from. Take that, and it kind of cascades into how well our livers and our kidneys are working, our liver being the main detox organ of our body. And it's busiest between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. when it finally we're lying still and relaxed. Instead of it having to do a million other jobs, it's the most hardworking organ in the body, then it can finally do all this detox. So if you're not sleeping well, that can add to your gout problem, just as an example. But take that a step further, and then we're talking about the kidneys. And the kidneys are just this other amazing organ with all kinds of complex parts and pieces to it, but the nephrons are where the urine and the uric acid get separated from the blood and either gets reabsorbed if we still need some of that uric acid, or it gets carried off in the urine, stored, and then eliminated when we urinate. So part of that problem is that, again, our cardiovascular system, our blood, and all of the cells that make up the kidneys and the blood, they're not as healthy as they once were either. And so what starts to happen is that the kidneys lose their ability to function correctly. And when they start to lose their ability to function correctly, they don't leave in enough uric acid, or they leave too much in. And that is my hypothesis, my theory. And I've gotten this from a lot of other people too, a lot of people much smarter than me, that what is going on is that the kidneys, the good example, something that you can really relate to, is that, there was once a time when you didn't get gout. And then one time you got it, and then maybe it was a year or so later, and then you got it again. And then a year or so went by, maybe 6 months, and you got it again. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, I'm getting it again and again and again. And now it's become a real problem. And that's why you're here listening to somebody like me, because it's become such a problem. And that is just the slow degeneration of, for one, your digestive process, but also how well your kidneys are functioning. So again, why I wanted to get this out there for everybody and to everybody is because we think so often it's kind of like drinking, beer caused gout, red meat caused gout. I have a whole big thing of where I talk about how it's toxic chemicals in our environment. I don't say caused gout, but they contribute to the gout problem because they get inside our bodies and they mess up the way our liver is able to detox and the way our kidneys are able to filter. And so there are many different things that contribute to the problem and the condition of gout, but are they the actual cause of gout? No. The actual cause of gout is poor digestion and poor kidney function. So I've already talked on pretty long here, and I apologize again that I don't have a process in place. I will get this fixed. This is going to get better and better. Please show up again in 2 weeks, because I want to make this Google Hangout, the Gout Hangout, a place, a real resource for people to come and get information, ask questions. Let's open this all up and really help each other figure out what to do about getting our chronic gout and how we can avoid it. So once again, I'm Burt Middleton, the Gout Killer, and I really appreciate you being here today. And if you would like to be here again in 2 weeks, I've created a page on the Gout Killer. Maybe you're there right now. But if you go to thegoutkiller.com, up at the top, there is another tab that is called Gout Killer TV. So that's what this is. We're on TV now. So anyway, thank you very much. I hope that was helpful. And please use the contact form on thegoutkiller.com to ask any more questions. Thank you very much.